In the month of December 2025, I lost $4,393.98 trading both manually and automated. And most of this was actually automated. Let's dive into it right here. We have the Webull accounts, which if I was to pull up the account P&L over this past month time span, we're down about $500. We were up about $500 at one point. We had about $1,000 downside swing, which was really just the result of, I think it was only Tesla. And then we have an open P&L. I'm not sure if that's being accounted for on this AI position. Either way, we kind of just got bent by Tesla. Simple as that, which I'll talk about that in a second. I'll dive back into this. We are going to cover everything. I've got every account pulled up here. We're going to narrow this into the automated stuff versus the manual stuff. Let's talk manual first. I'll get into the automated next, which essentially is just me with a strategy on TradingView. When a trade signal fires, sending it to the futures broker that I'm using, them placing the trades on my behalf. So there's like a 1 second delay roughly. So there's some slippage potential there, but it's pretty good from a slippage perspective, at least that I've found. And I'm kind of just really more so in an experimental phase with the automated stuff. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's I think a really interesting landscape, but obviously there's going to be kinks. Last month I think was good. This month is bad. We'll see how it evens out over time. Just like anyone trading though, you're going to have a good month. You're going to have, like, for example, like my own personal trading, you're going to have good months. You're going to have bad months. So we can see based off of this past, I guess, this selected period, down 306. Webull says I'm down more. I don't even know like what exactly we're calculating. If this is all realized. Oh yeah, Webull might be adding in this AI position here. I'm not exactly sure. We have 200 something there, 206 there. This is only realized. So we do have an open trade on AI, which is currently down at the moment. So maybe that's what's being factored in. Either way, we can dive into all of this. Let's just pull this up and see if we can confirm this really quick so we can see. So symbol P&L for the period, we have FFIC, mRNA, TNA, SPY, AI, SLV, and Tesla. Well, we can fact check it all and see if we're missing something. Because I always want to make sure I do this inside of TradeZella in case an automated upload didn't upload for whatever reason. So we got Tesla, TNA, Silver, which we have. Tesla, TNA, Silver on Webull. Okay, Tesla, Silver, we made money. TNA, we lost 216. Tesla, we lost 693. Okay, what's next beyond those guys? SPY, those are just sample trades. I think I was making a video and explaining something, and so I just did like a SPY call and a put or something. So I made $1, lost $2. That's not really real trading. SPY, we lost 171, and then we had FFIC made 361. So let's see if that's correct. SPY lost 172. Yep, it's right there. mRNA lost 180, and FFIC made 361. Why is it unrealized P&L? What was FFIC? Yeah, that's correct. For whatever reason, it's showing an unrealized P&L, although I'm not in those positions. I don't know what that's up with on Webull. Those seem right. 192 on mRNA. Oh, that one's not showing up. That's the thing. That's what's not showing up here. mRNA is not showing up. Okay, so that's what we got to add. I'll add that after the video. But yeah, mRNA, we had an options, or I guess it was we had a short on that I ended up just exiting. So let's talk about it all. Really the bulk of the losses came on Tesla, because what I've been doing with this account is as I grow it, I just size up more, because I really don't. Is this the smartest way to go about it? Probably not, like from a mechanical standpoint. But personally, with my current situation and my needs and what I'm doing, I don't rely upon this money, and I want to grow this account substantially by adding my own funds to it, so that I'm using larger funds so that I can essentially trade my swings with substantially more leverage, or not even more leverage. You're going to get your 2-to-1 overnight margin, but like once the account's got 10K in there, 20K in there, then it's like, okay, yeah. Now the swing trades that I'm looking for 5 to 10% moves, now that becomes substantial, because now I'm trading with 20, 30, 40K position sizes, right? So now that becomes bigger. So that's really what I'm looking to do. So in the meantime, I'm not like I'm not super mad or whatever. So what I do is like I just size up, and I know I have a track record for my stuff. So I'm like I just size up, and I know that like we've been profitable the past like 2-3 years. I think it's like 3 years now. Not like insane, marginally profitable, but I'm like, okay, well, if we stay marginally profitable, then all we need to do is just get access to more money and just put more money in the account, which I'm doing slowly but surely. But that's why I just, whenever like the account was over 4K when I played my Tesla trade, like I'm taking larger positions. Like I'm risking $200, $300, $400 now on losses instead of risking, $100 or $200 on losses, which is kind of how the month began, or like go back to November. Now, like as the account goes up, I risk more just to proportionally like play it. So it's more of like I'm risking based off percentage of the account and not a set dollar amount, which in the past I used to always be a set dollar amount because like I wasn't planning to just dramatically increase my account over time. So that's something. I got some taxes to pay, quarterly taxes to pay. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out. If I need to pull from this, I don't think I do. But if I do, like I'm not really worried about it. But once I settle those things, I'm going to be adding more funds to this, as really more so the second half of this year, based off of what I got coming up in the first half of the year, some expenses, and then the second half of the year I should be able to add a lot more money to this. But that's just me. I mean, that's side tangent. But that's that. So that's what's going on there. So TradeZella is missing about $200 or so, $190, $180 mRNA, which I'll go back and figure out. It was maybe because it was an options trade. And I don't usually trade options, so I can go back and figure that guy out later. But that said, we really just like on Tesla, the biggest losses was because we had this, which I thought was an amazing opportunity or a really good setup. This is actually like a textbook for me. Textbook setup works so good more often than not. Maybe it's not even that. I don't even know. But my profitability is like 45% over the past, like, I don't know, 3 years. But when I win, I generally win I won't say substantially. I generally win larger than I lose. And these situations for me are usually huge breakout opportunities where like, even if it's a 50-50 shot of this panning out, when it does work, it tends to be pretty big. In this case, it just didn't work. So you just lose what you're going to plan to lose. And that's fine, which is, whatever. It's just if you sit in this thing and, you take it way beyond the stop loss, which is what I had right around this area, 465, and I'm still holding it because I thought it was supposed to be a big winner, then that's how you get fucked. So it's like, well, that's just like trading 101 in my opinion. It's like, dude, just take the fucking loss. Literally, just take the fucking loss and move on. I early on, I think it's tougher because you feel like you want to be right, and the more you do it, the more you realize you don't have to do that shit. You can be wrong more often than not, but still make money if you have a system and you respect it. So why? Because hey, breaking out on this time frame, it really was like a weekly time frame that I liked, but breaking out on the weekly, essentially closing the candle here above this, you got a prior all-time high right there. Usually we get those big breaks and it just busts and this thing goes crazy. We literally tagged, we broke an all-time high on it, tagged just shy of $500, which is a psychological spot. So, I knew that was an area, but generally speaking, I figured like with the bigger picture setup here, we had momentum, we have everything. There's no earnings for a while. Market's going up. We're also getting into the like mid to late December. I'm like, okay, this is just, text like probabilities. So probabilities that tell you Santa rally, probabilities tell me we're breaking out. Like we have an all-time high nearby. If we break that, we have a big move up. We broke the all-time high, move, and then just didn't happen. So that's just really all it was. I took the trade once and then I exited. This is a Wednesday. I exited as we finished the day here. It was very close to my stop. It was a couple bucks away from my stop. So I was like, I'm not going to hold overnight in case of a gap down risk. So I exited. And then I realized, oh shit, it comes back. It re-breaks a new little, I guess, setup that we had developed. You go to like a 4 hour, you can see like it had broken. We had this wedge setting up. I broke that high. I re-enter, it literally just got cucked. Like perfect entry to screwball, like perfect fake out, which that happens. And then didn't work. Back so something to talk about the fake outs. I don't really care. People will say, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot," dude. It doesn't matter. Like this didn't work today, but let's say it works 40% of the time. If it does work and the move is substantial to the upside, and I can make 1.5 to 1.75. On my winners versus losing one, unit on my losers, I'm going to make money. So I don't really give a fuck about, oh, you're a fucking idiot, the breakouts versus the fake outs. Pick something that makes sense to you that works and then just stick to it. That's my approach. Because the problem I find is that And there are people out there who can do this, who can change their approach, week by week, day by day. And if you're dialed to what the market's doing, you're make money. Like you'll do well. But when you fall out of sync, you get fucked so bad, and it's so easy to get destroyed, and then it just completely annihilates you. So I don't like to do that. I like to keep it to simply one approach, one strategy. Market's going up. Is the stock I'm looking at breaking out? If we are checking the boxes, we're breaking out, high volume, yada, 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 which again, we even had. Like we had high volume on the break, like relative, right? Look at this volume. It was kind of coming down, down, down. We get to mid-December, boom, big volume. And then it's like, it just didn't go. So that's that. We have other ones here. We had mRNA. We had a downside break. Literally, look at how funny this one was. Broke the downside, closed very weak. The next day, just snapping back. I exited on that because I just did not like that look at all. But beautiful potential downside setup. I mean, this is a great opportunity, in my view, for a bigger downside move. Just didn't happen. Same thing. So going into this one at the end of November, I was like, yeah, I know. Oh yeah, you know why that might not be popping up on TradeZella is because the trade I took the trade in November. So I actually entered the trade in November. So maybe it's counting for that month, whatever. And then on Webull is realizing it in December, whatever. But yeah, so I entered this thing on the 20th of November, and then I actually exited. I might have exited. Maybe I think my stop loss is here. So I might have exited in December, whatever. Either way, just it didn't work. Same thing. But so like that's where I get into this. Like I do kind of catch myself. And I'm like, I don't know, dude, because you're playing this game where, you're going long or going short, you're going, and I get sketched out on those things because I don't really enjoy or like situations where market might overall be strong, but I'm taking a short on this specific stock. I generally don't like that. But at the same time, you get to end November and you're like, okay, tax loss harvesting, this stock has been down all year. It made logical sense to me at the time. It just didn't work. Okay, so silver, SLV, was our bigger winner. We made $412. This is just a one-shot deal, so we made $412. That's where I think the account hit a high watermark after the silver trade. So silver, we exit this one early on the 11th of December. And if you were to go to the account P&L on the 11th, we're up $500 on the month. So we're sitting back saying, great. And which then inflates the account a little bit, which then means that percentage-wise, I take a larger position on Tesla, which then those next two trades lose, which is why we're down where we are. But this one, I mean, I like this one. This one was super, super nice. So you essentially had, I mean, I can look at, this is just SLV where I took the trade, but I actually base it off of silver, the chart. But I mean, you had this little consolidation right here for the breakout. Let me pull up silver by itself so we can see the silver chart a bit better. You had, it was, look at how clean this was. I mean, this is beautiful, beautiful. Like you had this perfect consolidation right in here in an uptrend that's so strong, breaking out over the prior highs. Boom, boner candle, enter, ride that for a couple of days. Boom, target hit. It went so much higher. And this is where I kind of get bad at like trailing. I don't really trail. I've said it a million times in the past that I want to get into, I want to like practice or figure something out. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, to trailing, because I like to just take my targets at 1.5 or more X, what I'm risking. And I know that if I'm 45% win rate at a 1.5X return on this trade versus my risk, I'm going to be profitable. So I don't give a shit, to be honest. But obviously there's optimizations to be done and there's that to be said, which is important, but that's kind of where my head's at. So that was a good one. It could have made a lot more, obviously, but at the same time, I mean, you take your gains and you kind of move on. Yeah, what I could have done is just had like, locked it in, locked 75%, stop loss break even for the rest, and then just kind of raise that stop over time. Could do that, something like that is probably what I would want to mess with, but I want a better way to back test it. So that's kind of where my head goes. All right, let me get rid of Webull because this is kind of whatever. We're at $3,600. Great, cool, awesome. But let's talk about the automations now. So this is where I think is kind of also cool. So if I get this, pull up my Tradevate accounts. I made a sub account there. Pull a Webull away. We're down about 4K on these guys. So what I want to dive into now is the overall stats here. So 52% win rate, 6.62 average win-loss, which just means we're losing bigger than we're winning. This is not great. If you notice on the right-hand side, you'll see that we had some bigger swings early and then smaller stuff late. I paused slash changed the trade setups that I was running as we got towards the holiday period because we have lower volume, and we also didn't really trade as much. So the moves were smaller that we were trading. Prior to that, I had felt as if I just had too much money, or not money, or I was trading too large in one strategy. So I was pretty much tying up all my money into one place. And it was too risky. So what I've done now is I've got 6 different trading strategies that trade sort of different things. Some of the concepts are the same, but they just trade different assets. So we've got a gold, we've got a S&P, we've got a NASDAQ, 2 I think trade the NASDAQ, and we have a Russell 2000 as well. So there's a bunch of different contracts being traded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into it. That's as of late. The beginning of the month was heavily focused, not heavily, it was only trading the NASDAQ. So when you go into the reports tab, what you're going to find is like, we pretty much just traded the NASDAQ. That's where all the P&L is, but we'll see, you'll see. So our best performer was MGC, which made us $43. Our worst was MNQ, the NASDAQ, which is what lost the bulk of it. Again, a lot of that came at the beginning of the month. And then we had a good win rate on MGC, which is good because MGC has been gold, and that's actually a good sign that strategy is still working and still profitable. It's trading essentially an engulfing candle setup on gold. MES, we're down 96, nothing crazy there. M2K, we're about break even, which is fine. And then MNQ, we're down because that's a lot of it just factoring in the beginning of the month. 6E, I forgot about that. This one had super promising looking back tests, and I can pull it up really quick. The back test was very promising. And if I jump to a 15-minute time frame and I pull up 6E, the correct one that I'm looking at was this guy. If you go back over the past 365 days, the back test is very, very promising. It's just that we kind of started trading this thing like when it started to suck ass. Like it's down as of late, but also I'm noticing that this one I'm going to probably cut soon unless it kind of can turn itself around, because the slippage is pretty substantial. So I'm not actually getting what the backtest is getting or is saying I should be getting on my trades, which is what's concerning me. However, I'm like, this backtest is still so good with a minimal drawdown that I feel like it's fine. So I'm leaving it alone for now, but I'm skeptical. We also just caught a bad time. If it can't pick itself up, I'll probably cut this one off at some point. But that was the thought on the 6E. The MGC, let's pull up that one. So essentially what I've been running on gold, if I just pull up MGC, the continuous this is how you backtest this stuff. You just go to the continuous contracts. You can go back over the past year. So here's the strategy over the past, 365 days. It's on the 30-minute time frame. So here's how this looks over the past year. Now, I only began running this one about a month or so ago. So it didn't really do well, but it's done really, really well since August. And there's no reason, or it hasn't shown any signs of slowing down, which is what I'm very excited about. So it's done very, very well. You had a very big period back in October where it crushed, but since then it's still been pretty solid. So to me, going back to these reports, we're averaging a 61.1 win rate on 54 trades this month. How far off is that from the past 90 days? Not that far off. And if you go to the past year, you can make a custom. That's a little bit lower than what we want to see. So it's telling me we're okay for now, but we're close. So I want to see this thing kind of tick up. If it can't, I have something I think is potentially better on this. For example, if I jump down to it, let's see, get rid of this guy. Let's go to this guy. This was actually exceptionally promising. So essentially this is taking, if I go back over the past 365 days here, this one is what I'm thinking about. I don't know if this is exactly what maybe it was a 5-minute time frame on MGC. Yeah, it might be this. This is insane. I mean, this strategy is actually insane. Done very, very well with, it's got a higher drawdown, but dude, 800%. It doesn't take as many trades, but damn, like it's got a really good profit factor, which means it wins a lot more than it's losing, especially with the win rate near 50%. So I got something I think about. I'm thinking about adding into it, but whatever. Either way, that's the deal there. So that's that. The issue that we had kind of on NQ was we're playing this strategy right here. And if I pull it up, sorry if this is kind of confusing. I don't mean this to be very confusing. I'm trying not to be. If I pull up this report, what you're going to see is like, we haven't just done well as of late. Simple as that with these settings. It was doing very well before, hasn't done well as of late. If I pull up these same settings on MES, I think we have a much better situation on MES, which is what I'm currently running right now. Much better on MES, but although most of that came in March and April, which is when we had the big volatility. So that's when I'm kind of in that feeling out phase. Like I got some good back tests, but a lot of that money has been made on the back test back in March and April of last year, which was when we had a lot of volatility. So trying to find good settings and align with the market right now. As we move into the new year, I think things might shift again. So something to be watching, but I don't want to shift too much. I want to let things kind of run out, let the probabilities play out with the current settings we have to a degree until we're like no longer aligning at all with what we got. So that's the deal there. If I pull up all the accounts and I go back over the past year, we can talk about this, I guess. I might as well pull this up too. January 1st to the 31st of December. And we made $878. Now, part of this was during a phase when I was trading with prop firms. And part of this was during a phase where I began trading with a 10K futures account. So it's kind of thrown off a lot, to be honest with you. But you can see this past month hurt us in the sense of we were up a couple thousand. And then this past month, this $4,000 L, boom. But the sizing has just been all over the place because I began the year trading a smaller size. The early part of the year I was trading substantially large. Well, I began trading larger size, and then I went back to a smaller size as I wasn't trading with leverage in the prop firms. And then I went back to trading with larger size because of the automations. So it's confusing, but hopefully I kind of like unpack, the Webull side, which is my own stuff, versus the automation side, which is kind of just a testing phase. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't work, then, I'll let you know and be like, yeah, this is not working. Don't do this. So that was a long video, but I'll leave a link to TradeZilla down below. I think you can save 10-20% with the code TC10. TC10 logically sounds like 10% to me, but I think there's a link, or I remember seeing 20%. I got to confirm that next time. That's on me. But yeah, over the course of the year, 44.35% win rate. So to me, that's all I really care about. Knowing that number in the back of my head says, all right, dude, like, even if we get rid of the Tradevate accounts, which has been the future stuff, if I only pull up my Webull plus all of the, I guess, archived accounts, if I get rid of this guy, why is it doing that? Whatever. It's around the same number is all I'm going to say. So hope that was helpful. I'll leave a link to TradeZilla below like always. Thanks so much for watching. If you're still watching, you are awesome. And because I know these are kind of like boring videos, but I show it all. See you next time.